Well, under John Henry, the Boston Globe has aggressively branched out into so-called verticals, standalone publications with a narrow focus. But today, we learned that the Globe is folding on at least one of those projects, the Catholic news site Crux. Launched in 2014, Crux billed itself as covering all things Catholic. Led by veteran Vatican watcher John Allen, the site offered analysis and commentary from writers like our WGBH colleague Marjorie Egan. While the Globe says it was satisfied with readership, the site failed to find advertisers, prompting the Boston Globe to pull the plug effective April 1st. Interestingly, though, they're going to give it and all the assets over to their chief writer, John Allen, who's going to try to maintain it and get advertising on his own. I mean, I have to say, I think that the concept was perhaps a bit anachronistic, unlike Stat, which is doing very well. I mean, it's like to have this idea that you're going to have a forum just for Catholic readers. I'm not sure that was ever viable. Some of the stuff was very good, very readable, but I'm not sure it was ever, certainly not economically viable.
No, it seemed like kind of a tough sell, and the quality of it was very good.
Yeah.
As a lifelong non-Catholic, I found some of it very interesting because it was telling me things I knew nothing about. You know, there's going to be a lot of postmortems given as to what went wrong with Crux. Let me suggest one. It seems that Crux launched right around the time that a lot of people were starting to conclude that free advertiser-supported news sites were not a good idea, and that the current trend is to try to charge for content. And that's something Crux never did. I don't know whether they would have had any luck doing it, but you know, I'd love to see what John Allen does with it.
I assume that because of where we are, that they would have a big enough base so that it was only about building on that base. So I assume they did some market research before. If they didn't, and then, you know, it's a surprise to them.
They said they did have the readers. You know, they said, you know, that the readers were there, but, you know, the buyers weren't.
Yeah, well, usually, if the readers are there, the buyers want to be there. So something's not connecting to the buyers that makes this a worthwhile buy for them yet. But John Allen is certainly a great talent. Marjorie's written some great things. So we'll see what happens now. I assume it's still based here?
Well, that's a good question, because he's in
Nobody
St.
said
Louis,
that.
right?
Yeah, so
He's
that's
in
what I'm curious
Colorado,
about.
yeah.
So I'm curious about
I
that.
don't think it'll be based here,
See,
no.
so that's a shame, because we'll lose that.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, Crux was a small bet for the Globe. I mean, a handful of employees, a relatively small bet compared to something like Stat, which has you know, over 50 people on staff. I was surprised to see that they never really went far beyond advertising and trying new models. And John Allen today said that in his attempt to keep it going, which he said to Politico, "I'm going to try my damnedest to keep it going," which I thought was a nice thing for a Catholic side to say. That they were going to try for events and sponsorships and other models that might have a better chance of generating revenue. But you know, Stat on one hand has a much better model, and you can see how they can monetize in better ways, but they have to sustain a much larger infrastructure and a larger cost base. So I think we'll all be watching that.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say it wasn't really a major part of the Globe's business plan, because I hope that everyone is rooting hard for the Globe to survive and prosper. We need more, not less, of what they offer. I will say, not to change the subject, but one bright note this week for the Globe, along with this down note, they finally admitted to reality, scrapped that horrible distribution service and rehired the old company. And lo and behold, my old delivery guy is back on my beat, and my paper is right there, just where I like it, 3 1/4 inches from the right of the step, dry and ready to read when I get up.
Yeah. I don't know if my old one came back yet. I'll find out when I get the envelope at the end of the year.